You've probably heard a lot about electric vehicles and legislations aimed at reducing carbon emissions from vehicles. However, there is another type of vehicle that emits only water vapor and offers zero emissions: the hydrogen fuel cell vehicle. While similar to electric vehicles, hydrogen cars have distinct differences that make them less common. In the US, around 2.5 million electric vehicles have been sold, compared to just 15,000 or fewer hydrogen-powered vehicles as of mid-2022. These vehicles can only be found in California, which has a network of hydrogen fueling stations. Since 2015, 3 different car companies have offered hydrogen-powered cars for sale: the Honda Clarity Fuel Cell, the Hyundai Nexo SUV, and the Toyota Mirai. However, Honda has now ceased production of all Clarity models, and Hyundai has sold fewer than 1,500 Nexo SUVs to date. Toyota is the company that is most committed to hydrogen power as an alternative to battery electric vehicles. It has sold approximately 10,700 Mirai sedans across 2 generations in the US. However, it has had to offer significant discounts at times to move them. An HFCV is powered by an electric motor, similar to a battery electric car, but instead of a heavy battery, it uses a fuel cell stack. The fuel cell stack combines pure hydrogen and oxygen from the air to generate electricity, which powers the motor and produces water vapor. This makes the HFCV a series hybrid, and that is why it's sometimes called an FCHEV. While hydrogen is considered an energy carrier, drivers of HFCVs refill their carbon fiber tanks at hydrogen fueling stations that operate similarly to gas stations with a quick 5-minute refueling time. Although hydrogen is the most abundant element in the universe, it is never found in its pure state and requires significant energy to extract. Most hydrogen used today is derived from fossil fuels like natural gas, which produces CO2 as a byproduct. When run through a fuel cell, the hydrogen generates electricity and produces only water vapor from the exhaust pipe. How does it feel behind the wheel? When driving an HFCV, the experience is almost the same as driving a battery electric car, except that the HFCV may not be as fast. The car does not have a transmission, and regenerative braking is included to recover energy when braking. However, hydrogen fuel cells are best suited for steady power output, making it challenging for automotive engineers to design a car that meets the varying power demands of everyday driving. For example, acceleration to 60 miles per hour requires 10 to 20 times more power than maintaining a steady highway speed of 15 kilowatts or 20 horsepower. To address this issue, the Toyota Mirai, the most popular hydrogen car in the US, has a fuel cell rated at 90 kilowatts, 120 horsepower, and a high-voltage low-capacity battery similar to those used in gasoline-electric hybrids. The battery provides extra power for brief periods of intense acceleration, recharging from the excess fuel cell output or regenerative braking. Like EVs, hydrogen cars have an EPA-rated range of 300 miles or more, but the range decreases at higher speeds. Are hydrogen cars safe? HFCVs are generally considered to be as safe as any other car. The high-pressure tanks are designed to withstand even the highest speed crashes without leaking or rupturing. Despite the Hindenburg explosion in 1937, which hydrogen skeptics often cite, the hydrogen tanks and their hardware would likely survive even if the rest of the car were destroyed in a crash. To date, there have been no recorded injuries or deaths specific to the hydrogen components in the relatively small number of HFCVs sold. HFCVs share many of the same positive characteristics as battery electric vehicles. They are quiet, smooth, and emit only water vapor with no harmful exhaust emissions. They also do not have the charging time problem of EVs. Refueling takes just about 5 minutes and allows for another 300 to 400 miles of driving range. However, there are some disadvantages, the most significant being the limited availability of hydrogen fuel. Although California had plans for 100 hydrogen stations by now, in reality there are only about 60. Moreover, not all of these stations are always available for fuel. Hydrogen drivers often rely on real-time apps like the station status report maintained by the California Fuel Cell Partnership to plan their fueling stops. Hydrogen fueling stations. Getting used to fuel a hydrogen car takes practice, as aligning the nozzle and ensuring proper sealing for electronic communication between the car and pump can be challenging. In addition, current stations can typically only fuel a few vehicles before going offline for up to 30 minutes to repressurize. In June 2019, drivers in the San Francisco Bay Area faced significant challenges when an explosion disrupted the supply of hydrogen to 9 of the area's 11 stations. To address the issue, diesel trucks had to transport tanks of compressed hydrogen from Southern California overnight. Some drivers had to set alarms to reach a station in time to fuel up before supplies ran out, and Toyota refunded several months of lease payments to Mirai drivers who couldn't use their cars reliably. The most significant drawback of hydrogen cars compared to EVs is their similarity to gasoline cars, meaning they cannot be recharged at home overnight. While more than 100,000 fuel stations exist nationwide for gasoline cars, hydrogen drivers depend on a reliable gas supply and operational high-pressure fueling stations. How much does hydrogen fuel cost? Due to hydrogen fuel being a specialized commodity, the limited number of retail stations naturally charge high prices. According to the California Hydrogen Business Council, a kilogram of hydrogen currently costs between $10 to $17 at California hydrogen stations, which is about $5 to $8.50 per gallon of gasoline to cover the same distance. A Toyota Mirai hydrogen car typically holds around 5 gallons of hydrogen. To counterbalance this drawback, Honda, Hyundai, and Toyota have all offered free hydrogen fuel to their lessees and buyers for varying periods. However, each manufacturer has a slightly different offer. For instance, a Toyota Mirai comes with up to $15,000 of complimentary hydrogen, while a Hyundai Nexo includes the same $15,000 over a 3-year lease or up to 6 years of ownership. After these offers expire, the driver is responsible for the cost of hydrogen fuel. However, if hydrogen is compared to gasoline at $5 to $8.50 a gallon, it's worth noting that charging an EV overnight typically costs just $1 to $2 a gallon equivalent. Servicing a hydrogen car. Similar to electric vehicles, hydrogen cars require special care and attention from dealership service centers. Although they have high-voltage battery packs like other electric vehicles, hydrogen cars also feature armored carbon fiber tanks to store pure hydrogen at an incredibly high pressure of 10,000 pounds per square inch or 700 bar in metric units. Routine maintenance for hydrogen cars, excluding the fuel cell stack, the hydrogen tanks, or their connecting plumbing, is similar to that of regular cars. However, if these components require servicing, California has a specific set of regulations in place to prevent the risk of explosion from escaping hydrogen. This involves draining the hydrogen tanks in designated outdoor areas away from buildings, followed by purging the entire system of any remaining hydrogen using various gases, a process that typically takes anywhere from 30 to 180 minutes. The future of hydrogen cars. For Californians in search of an eco-friendly vehicle powered by an electric motor, a hydrogen car might seem like an appealing option. However, the current reality is that hydrogen vehicles come with risks and limitations. Automakers had hoped to establish a robust and reliable network of fueling stations across the state, but this has proven to be a far more challenging task than anticipated, both in terms of cost and reliability. As a result, the availability of hydrogen fuel is still a major issue. Without a steady and readily available supply of hydrogen fuel delivered at a high pressure of 10,000 psi, an HFCV is nothing more than an expensive and bulky paperweight. In contrast, electric vehicles have a more established infrastructure and are becoming increasingly affordable, making them a more viable option for many consumers. While hydrogen fuel cells have the potential to be a promising technology for the future, the current limitations and challenges make it difficult to justify the expense and uncertainty for the average driver. As a result, electric cars are likely to be the more practical and popular choice for the foreseeable future. Alright guys, that wraps up our video for today. If you enjoyed watching this, please do well to give us a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button for more.